Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and I'm going to be taking a look at the other Hero of Dunkirk tank, the Vindicator Charioteer. Now what we've got here is a tier 8 British TD with standard matchmaking, so it will see up to tier 10. And again, a bit like with the Defiance, it's not that it's a bad tank, because it does have its good features, but I don't think it's a particularly good premium. I must admit, I am quite disappointed with both of the Dunkirk tanks, to be perfectly honest. Especially, I mean, with the Matilda, with the Defiance Matilda, you know, there are a couple of slight differences, but it is basically the only main difference with that one is that it has a bigger engine. Other than that, it's a reskinned Matilda at tier 5. And same with this, really. A couple of slight minor differences, but essentially this is just a reskinned Tech Tree Charioteer. That's it. Cost wise, it's going to be in varying bundles. It's in the mega bundle at the moment, and I think the cheapest one you can get it is on its own at 12,500. Its listed price in the Tankopedia is 12,200, and 12,500 is expensive for a tier 8. Give you an example. Let's have a look. One of the most expensive ones so far is the Lerva at 12,500, but most tier 8s you're looking quite a bit cheaper than that, anything from 7,200 up to about 10,000-ish, 11 maybe. And again, I know it's a hero tank. The hero tanks always cost more. They have the perma camo on, and it's supposed to account for the perma camo, but I think 12,500 for a glass cannon TD is a little bit pricey again. And like I said before, you know, it's a reskin. That's all it is. It's not a new tank. It's a Tech Tree tank with a skin on it, and that's basically it. Now, I saw that it had the Type A barrel on it in the pictures and got a little bit concerned. The actual tank itself, it has been tweaked. So basically what you get, you can see I've got the Tech Tree Charioteer here as well. I've been trying to get used to. What you basically get with the Charioteer, it only has one turret, so the stock turret is the only turret you get. It's got a couple of engines, obviously, different tracks you can get, and that's it. So what you've got here is upgraded tracks, upgraded engine, and a tweaked 20-pounder Type A barrel. With the Charioteer, you start off with the 20-pounder Type A, you can put the 20-pounder Type B on it, and then you go up to the 105mm anti-tank gun L7, which is an anti-tank version of the gun from the Centurion 7.1. But the engine you start with, I think, is 600. Yeah, 600, and you get basically a 650 horsepower engine. And with the Type B barrel, it has slightly better soft stats than the Type A, slightly better rate of fire, slightly better aiming time, slightly better accuracy. So what we've got here on the Vindicator, we get the Charioteer Mark 8, which are the upgraded tracks. You can see we get the Rolls-Royce Meteor Mark 4B, and there is only one turret. So there you go. Now with the Type A, basically, like I say, upgraded tracks, upgraded engine, and a Type A barrel which outperforms the Type B barrel, which is a little bit odd. Other than that, it's basically the same. So, 650 horsepower engine, quick fire, 20-pounder Type A barrel, tweaked. The rate of fire on the Type B barrel on standard one is about 9.59. This is 10 rounds a minute, so half a round a minute quicker. 226 pen, 230 damage, 258 on your premium, again 230 and 42, 280 on your HE. They're standard, that's the same on Type A barrels, Type B barrels, doesn't matter. The aiming time is 2.3 seconds, which is slightly better than the Type B barrel on the Tech Tree version. And the accuracy is 0.34, which again is slightly better than the Type B barrel on the Tech Tree version. You also get 2 degrees quicker hull traverse on this one at 38 instead of 36. But other than that, it is exactly the same. Same armour, same hull traverse, turret traverse, same view range, same radio range. And that's it basically. Now, supplies-wise, 680 for your armour piercing, 4,400 for your APCR, and 170 for your HE rounds. I've got the standard consumables on there because I'm boring. because it's just a loan tank. I'm fortunate enough to get them on loan for being part of the community contributor program. Now, an issue I have with the Charioteer, and there goes my phone, oh dear, sorry about that. Right, now, an issue I have with the Charioteer, and in turn the Vindicator, is ammo. It doesn't carry a lot of ammunition, which is kind of understandable because it's a small hull. It's a Cromwell hull with a different turret than the 20-pounder. These were in the war, they did try these out with the 20-pounders. I don't know how the Charioteer is going to perform with the 105, I've not got to it yet. So, you don't have a lot of room for ammunition in there. However, I think that 28 and 7, what does that make up? 35 rounds. I would say that's more than enough for the 105mm, and I'm hoping it doesn't drop any. But I think for the 20-pounder, with the rate of fire, especially with it being tweaked to be a slightly better rate of fire, it's not quite enough. And in the normal Charioteer, when you're having a decent game in it with the 20-pounder, you can actually start to run out of ammunition. And in fact, I have done, and ended up ran out of all AP rounds, and was using some of my APCR rounds. So it can and does happen. So, you know, just keep an eye on your ammo count. If you do get this tank, do keep an eye on your ammo count in game. And if not, if you're just going through the tech tree once, do the same. Keep an eye on your ammo count, and that will give you an indication of how, you know, sometimes you just can't take the risky shots because you're going to run out of ammunition. Skills wise, I've got my Centurion crew in here, a bit odd, but it's not a bad set of skills to have on a TD like this. And with the Charioteer, again, this is the thing with the Vindicator. It's not a bad tank, it's a bad premium. And there's a difference in, you know, I think there's a difference. But yeah, it's nippy enough. You know, it's got Cromwell speed, not quite got Cromwell manoeuvrability or acceleration, but it's not far off. It's got a decent power to weight ratio and, you know, decent hull traverse and decent top speed. So you can get around the battlefield and relocate quite easily. But yeah, skill-wise, as you can see there, I mean, I've got Brothers in Arms, I've got Sixth Sense, Camouflage. One of the ways to go with this is to basically make it sneaky, put TD sort of skills on there, you know, your stealthy skills, and other ways to use it as kind of like a medium. But you've got to be very careful with your whole turret traverse. Gets very, very slow. Bonuses, by the way, while we're here, let's have a look. 50% silver bonus and a 10% XP bonus. The XP bonus always seems to be less on the on TDs than it does on anything else at tier 8 on the premiums. And you have 1,150 hit points. Now, engine size, or engine wise, let's get into the modules. 21.53 power to weight ratio, which is 0.03 better than the Tech Tree one with the 20-pounder Type B. That's 21.5. The Cromwell, I think, is 23.23. 52 km/h top speed, 20 in reverse, but with a 20% chance of fire. And it's the same, well, like I say, it's Cromwell hull, Cromwell engine, same place the engine is in the Cromwell. Concealment, again with the perma camo, by the way, is slightly better at 0.35 and 0.22, so it is slightly higher by about 0.03 points than the Tech Tree one, and that's to account for the camouflage. Another point or issue with the Charioteer, and this is with both of these, Tech Tree and Premium, is gun elevation and depression. You have a very, very poor gun elevation at only 12 degrees and a very, very poor gun depression at only -5 degrees. Anybody who's been through the Chinese line will be used to that, but a lot of people don't like the very, very limited gun depression. Track-wise, nice, solid unit. Terrain resistance is again slightly different to the standard one, even though the showing is the same tracks. It's 0.7, 0.9 and 2, and I think on the normal Charioteer it's 0.8, 1 and 1.9. So the first two are slightly better on this, but the last one's slightly worse, and it's vice versa on the standard one. Turret on top, big old turret. Radio towards the back of the turret, not quite in the bustle, just before it. And a lot of ammunition. Obviously, it's a small Cromwell hull. Probably, you know, these were intended to have 75mm ammunition, not 20-pounder ammunition, which is 83.8mm, I think. So yeah, ammo blocks all over inside, and this really is a glass cannon. You've got one up in the hull on the rear left of the... Sorry, one up in the turret on the rear left. And basically the centre of the hull underneath the turret is just jam-packed with ammo racks. In fact, you have to try very hard not to damage an ammo rack in this, and there goes my phone again for a second time. Well, not only will we have looked at the Vindicator, we'll have broken my phone by the end of the video. Now, crew, you've got 2 down in the hull. You've got the gunner, well, hull machine gunner, which it would normally be, but I don't think this has got it on it, and the driver. And then you've got 2 up in the turret. You've got the gunner, and you've got the commander. Now, I don't know if the guy down in the hull possibly counts as a loader passing the shells up, or whether the commander doubles up as a loader. I'm really not too sure about that. Armour-wise, yeah, not particularly special. Like I say, Cromwell hull, you get Cromwell armour. So you've got 64 on the front, 46 on the sides, and 38 on the rear, same as on a Cromwell. And the turret is a meagre 30, 25, and 30, and that's front, sides, and rear. And as you can see, there's not really much to tell. 1 to 20, well, most of the turret, the sides of it at least, the top of it, the engine deck, and the whole floor, and a thin strip down the side. 21 to 30 is your upper glacis, your lower front glacis, the front of the turret, the rear of the turret, and your tracks, which will act as an amount of spaced armour. I have had the odd lucky bounce off the front, and I have, had the tracks absorb a couple, but you can't rely on your armour in this by no means. 31 to 50 is the hull sides, and the rear of the tank, yep. And then 51 to 70, which is your 64mm or 63 as it shows there, are your flat panels on the front. So, well, I suppose you could call that the upper lower glacis, and well, the bit that the driver's viewport, I don't know what you call that one anyway, but there you go, that's your 64mm. So yeah, not really any armour to speak of. There are a couple of ways you can play it, but I'll try and cover those in the replays. But equipment wise, I've gone for a gun rammer, I've gone for a gun laying drive, and I've actually gone for coated optics. But on my standard Charioteer, I've dropped the optics for a camouflage net, and I've kind of been using one as a TD and the other as a medium to see, basically to sort of compare the different ways of playing it and see which is better for me. But I'm not entirely sure at the moment. But that's the equipment I've gone for on it. But let's get into the replays and see how it actually handles. Right, so here we are for the first of the replays. Now, just a quick recap, very quickly over a couple of things said in the garage. I know some people do skip the garage review. I've said before in the garage that this is not a bad tank. It's just not a very good premium, and I think the price is too high on it. And I am quite disappointed by both of the Heroes of Dunkirk tanks, to be perfectly honest, because they're just reskins. Now, I understand why they've chosen I understand why they chose the Matilda, because they were at Dunkirk. Matildas, they were at the evacuation of Dunkirk. The Charioteer, though, didn't appear until later on in the war. So I'm not quite sure why they chose the Charioteer. Now, yeah, not a bad tank, not a good premium. Like I said, it's just a reskin of a tech tree tank with a tweak to its gun. And in the garage I did say that this 20-pounder Type A barrel outperforms the Type B barrel on the tech tree one. And like I say, you've got the top engine from the Charioteer, which isn't saying much, because you only get an extra 50 horsepower over the stock one. It doesn't have any other turrets, it just has one turret anyway. And you get the upgraded tracks. But the main difference with the gun is the extra half a round a minute. I did say the aim time was better and the accuracy is not by much. It's 0.01 I think on the accuracy, and I think instead of I think it's 2.5 seconds for the Type B barrel on the Tech Tree one, and it's 2.3 second aiming time on this one. So there isn't a great deal of difference, but the fact is, it does outperform the Type B barrel. How the Tech Tree one performs with the 105mm, I'm not sure, because I've not got that just yet. But it does have a much lower rate of fire, so, swings and roundabouts. Now, a couple of ways to use this, I've found, or a couple of ways that I have been using it, really. One is more of a traditional, turreted TD, with it being quick. I've kind of been using it in a way, in the ilk of things like the E25 and the Kanonen, and I know you're thinking, well, what are you on about, because they're not turreted. With regard, what I mean is that it's quick, it's got a decent rate of fire, and a bit like with the E25 and the Kanonen, you get to a position, you take a couple of shots, and then you get the hell out of there, and you pull back to somewhere else and take shots from there, and it's kind of like that's how I've been using this. Now, in this match, it's a tier 9, I think it is. I'm platooned up, or I was platooned up with my wife. She's unfortunately been taken down. Not many people went up that way, and in fact, a couple of tanks actually started to go up that way once she died, and I'd actually pulled back. So yeah, not going particularly well, and I'm going to try and cover this part as much as possible, but I am going to have to pull back. And you know, that's one thing I do like about the Charioteer, that it can shift. You know, it can get out of there. It's 52 km/h top speed, I think I said it was, and a fairly decent power to weight ratio of over 20, so well, 21.53 or whatever it is. So yeah, it's not too bad. Like I say though, you are a glass cannon. I did take some risks there. I wanted to take that guy down. I knew I was going to take a hit from him, but it's a Black Prince, so you know, it's not particularly high damage. But now I am going to pull back and try and get myself into a better position. I really should have carried on pulling backwards, but unfortunately I got spotted, so I've had to... Well, I don't know about stand and fight, but I didn't want to just keep pulling back, thinking that something might be able to shoot at me, so that's why I'm just being a bit more cautious, seeing what's what, seeing what can shoot at me, putting shots in where I can. But I really am wanting to pull back at this point. Now the Charioteer, it's not going to be for everybody. You know, it's not. It is a proper glass cannon TD. There are people who really like that. There are people who prefer the TDs to have a bit more armour to them. But it's, I don't know, I've also been using it like a medium tank in a way, like a, I don't know. You've got to be very careful though. I suppose in a similar way to I'd use as maybe a CDC, possibly. That's glass cannon into it, but see, the CDC has very good gun depression, so it can pop up and over ridgelines. You can't do that with this, but it can pop in and out fairly quickly. But yeah, if you are going to use it as a medium tank, or kind of like a pseudo medium, then you are going to have to be very, very careful with the turret traverse, because it is very, very slow. I've taken a bit of a hit there, and to be honest, the team have completely crumbled. We are surrounded now. There's me, another TD, a medium tank, and Artie left. I'm just trying to get out of the way. I'm trying to get away from them up there, trying to get back here, but I've got nowhere to go. That was a very lucky shot on that tank down there. But yeah, I've just got nowhere to go. So I'm in a bit of trouble now. I'm not really too sure what to do. I was going to go and try and put a shot in at the T10, but he's been taken down. There's a Type 4 heavy down there. Very, very tough armour. I'm going to switch to premium because I've got his front, so I'm really going to struggle to pen this guy, and even those are bouncing. But then again, you don't get a very big increase in penetration with your premium rounds on this gun, which is, you know, again, that's not to do with the Vindicator as such. That is just this gun. It's the 20-pounder. It's the same on anything that's got the 20-pounder. There's not a big difference, or there doesn't seem to be, between standard and premium penetration. But I don't know, it just seems to be a bit more of a letdown on this, because you've got nothing to fall back on. You know, if you really can't pen and you've got no way to get around them or get to a weak spot, you've not really got anything to fall back on and use. You know, it's like, great, I've got an extra 20 pen, great, that's really going to make a difference. But even though that was a defeat, it wasn't a bad round for myself. Just under 5,000 combined damage, just under 2.5 of my own, and just over 2.5 assisted. And it got me at the top of the table. And again, like I say, you know, it's not a bad tank in my opinion. It's not to everybody's liking, because not everybody likes that style of gameplay. I've got to be in the mood for it, I really do. You know, that sort of glass cannon. I do have to be in the mood to play that sort of tank. Sometimes I just feel like playing heavies, or, you know, something that can take a beating, that sort of thing. Other times I don't. Other times I fancy being something small, nippy, etc. But, you know, the Charioteer is not to everybody's liking. But, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I can only see this as like a... Somebody mentioned it with the Defiance, actually, on a comment this morning that I've seen, saying that the Defiance, you know, with the Defiance, it's more of just a collector's item and an expensive one at that. And I kind of see this as the same. It does have an inscription on the front. It's very small. It's in French, and I think it says in memory. In Memory of Dunkirk, I think it is. I'm not going to try and pronounce it in French because my French accent and my French is terrible. But yeah, I think it basically translates as In Memory for Dunkirk or In Memory of Dunkirk, something like that. And it's on the very front, on the plate actually that covers the driver's hatch, just to the left of the hull. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a reskin, and again, I can just see this as a collector's piece, and again, an expensive one at that. You know, I've got the Tech Tree Charioteer, and I've got the Type B barrel on it. You don't really notice the half a round less rate of fire. I've not, you know, it's not made any big impact on my gameplay in it. I've had just as good games in that as I've had in this. But with that one, I've got the prospect of a 105mm gun to look forward to with higher pen, higher damage. Yeah, it's got a bit low rates of fire, but it's got more bang for its buck, and it's got some very nice Hesh rounds as the premium, 210 pen and like 400 and something damage. So yeah, I've kind of got that to look forward to on the Tech Tree one. But again, this is one I'm not going to be buying myself. I don't see the point personally. I'll just stick with my Tech Tree one. Yeah, it doesn't make as much money, but it's not going to set me back a load of real cash either. So there you go. And also, don't forget to check. I think I worked it out. If you are wanting to buy the Mega Bundle, when I can talk, if you are wanting to buy the Mega Bundle, and you know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. It's up to you. I'm here to give you my opinions on these tanks and to let you know what they're like. And my opinion is that they're both just, to be honest, a bit idle reskins of Tech Tree tanks. And you know, I've got to be honest with you. I'm disappointed with the pair of them. And not because of the tanks themselves. Again, I can't get... I know I've said it. I don't know. Not in the tanks themselves, but in the fact that they are premiums. And that's it. Because, you know, I've had some good games in this. You cannot have good games in a shit tank. You know, well, you can, but it's very, very, very difficult. But I've not found it overly difficult in this. Once you figure out how to play it, you know, you stay back, you try and stay out of sight. Or you can play it how I am in this and kind of play it like a medium. You can have some decent games in it. Same with the Tech Tree one. I had a 3,500 damage game with the 20-pounder. You know, I ran out of standard rounds and was onto my premium, but you know, it was a decent game. And you can't do that in a shit tank. You know, most of you'll agree you just can't. Not regularly, not, you know, fairly consistently either. But you know, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stick with my Tech Tree one, I think. I was keeping an eye on that. Oh, I can't talk now. I was keeping an eye on that Borsig, and he's been taken out. And I'm coming over here, hopefully. Well, I was hoping that the T-28 was pointing the other way, but I've missed his shot, or well, he missed his shot, should I say, which was fortunate. And again, that was down to the speed of this. The manoeuvrability on the hull helps. And I would say, if you like the look of this, I've just got to, I don't know, go for the Tech Tree one. Just put the time in, grind out, get the Tech Tree one if you like the look of this, and save yourself some cash. That's, you know, that's what I'd say. But yeah, that, you know, that speed and hull traverse allowing you to do things like I did on the T-28 prototype. There's some stuff I wouldn't do that against, because your turret traverse is so incredibly horrible. At only 18 degrees, yes, very, very bad. Right, there's that KV-4 again. I think I got a shot on him earlier. Got to be careful. You've got to pop up. You've also got to put yourself in a position where the gun depression is not going to become an issue. And again, people who've been through Chinese tanks, you know, you're going to be used to that sort of thing. You're not going to be popping up over ridge lines in this. But you can pop out, you know, you saw with that shallow ridge or shallow incline, decline. Sort of, I was on the incline, he was on the decline. I can get down to the KV-4, but you've got to be careful. But it's not bad at popping up over, putting the shot in. But again, you've just got to be careful in it. You've just got to keep an eye out. You've got to, like I'm doing here, looking over the ridge, seeing if the guns are pointing at you. If not, pop over, put your shot in, get back. But if you can also catch somebody as well, you know, like with the rate of fire on this 10 rounds a minute, if you can catch somebody in the open and maybe track them, you can keep them tracked. And a lot of the time, you can out DPM some of the stuff you're going to come up against. And as you can see, I'm teamed up with my lovely wife again in Carnarvon. And we're going to town on this T110E4. They held him off. I had said before that I was going to try and get a round on him, but unfortunately that fatherland was there. So I had to wait before I could get round on that T110E4. But when I did, I distracted him. And I thought he was going to have me because he was... yeah, he was getting his gun round on me, but then my wife just came in Carnarvon and rammed him. Took his attention, and we managed to take him down between us. Now, there's not many guys left, actually. There's this Tiger 2 here. There's a Chieftain and an E100, I think it is. Now, the Tiger knows I'm here, but I've managed to get round on him. I'm in a position where the gun elevation and depression is not an issue. That was the hardest thing for me to get used to with this tank, actually. The one before it, the Challenger, I think it's something like minus 10 or 12 degrees of 10 on gun depression and pretty good elevation as well. And yeah, that was unfortunate. All the time that my tracks got knocked off, I was thinking shit. But yeah, I got taken out unfortunately. But my wife and the other two guys that were left managed to take out the Chieftain. Well, my wife took out the Chieftain just as he'd already fired and killed me. So that took me out of the game, unfortunately. But I came out of that with an ace tanker, 2,000 amount damage done, and 1,300 assisted. So again, quite happy with that result. And that was a tier 10 match as well. So yeah, very happy with that result. But there you go, the Vindicator Charioteer. I know I said it before, I'll say it again. Not a bad tank, but a bad premium. It's not always gone as well as that. I've not got many other results screen show, but there is another one coming up here which shows you, some of the other results I've had. But there you go. My advice would be, if you really want a Charioteer, just go for the Take Tree one and save yourself a lot of cash. There you go. I'll be back later on with another video for you. So until then, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.